Hello everyone, and welcome back to Faith for Dummies. Hi Rob, how are you?
Hi everyone. Hi Izzy. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. It is absolutely chucking it down where I live, but there are some moments of sunshine, so they're bringing a little bit of joy. But I'm all right actually. As January goes, I've had a pretty good one. So
Ah,
things are okay.
that's nice. I recently have gone gluten free, and
Ooh.
so was just in a school. So I said I was good. I am good, but I was just in a school where they were all eating some biscuits, and I was like, I can't eat them.
That is very sad. As I said, it's been raining here today. The sunshine went behind a cloud and it is now pelting it down with rain. So you might be
Yeah, I
able to
think I
hear
can
that.
hear it.
I'm so sorry.
That's all right. That's okay. That's fine.
Great. So, what are we talking about in today's episode, Rob?
Well, today we are looking at how to break up well, or how can I cope with a breakup? Those sorts of questions, really, especially as Christians, especially as teenagers, but maybe a bit relevant for not as well, really. And yeah, I interviewed our friend Hannah, who is great, and she did her research and said everything she wanted to say in record times. It was brilliant. What a great guest we had. Thank you, Hannah, for everything that you will say, because we haven't heard it yet.
Yeah, great. So, shall we go to Rob and Hannah?
We shall. But first, I've just remembered something.
Oh,
We
yeah, go
talked
on.
about a double dummy moment, haven't we?
We did. We did. Go on, share that
We
before
did.
Hannah shares hers.
All right. Okay. So we recorded our teaser a little while ago. And then I think you sent a message say, I've just finished editing the teaser. Normally would be very helpful, except my reply, I think, was, stop it.
So have
No
I.
ways. So have I.
Yep, so we had two
So,
edits of the same thing.
so
Normally
there we
we're
go.
done the other way and neither of us are editing one,
Yeah.
or you think I'm meant to be editing it and I think you're meant to be editing it. So, at least
Hmm.
it was the right way round.
It was, yeah. But there we go. Anyway.
Anyway, great. Let's go and hear Hannah's dummy moment and then hear what she has to say about how we can cope well as Christians with breakups.
Thanks, Izzy. I'm here with my friend. Why don't you introduce yourself and maybe explain a little bit about what you do most of the time?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Hannah, and I spend most of my time working for a Christian mission organisation called Sim UK. Outside of that, I go to church. I'm involved in youth stuff. I'm getting married
Mm-hmm.
this year, so
Woohoo.
wedding planning takes a lot of my time. I know Izzy will be able to relate.
Mm-hmm.
And I love baking and gardening and lots of creative things.
Yeah, great, thanks. And you know both Izzy and I, which not
Yep.
everybody who we interview can say that, don't you? So why don't you just say briefly how you know both of us?
Sure. So me and Rob have been going to the same church for a few years now, and I also help on Danehill camps, which is where I met Izzy. So yeah, very blessed to know both of them. And I'm
Ah.
also the godson. No, I'm not. I'm also the godmother of one of Rob's children. That would be a
That's
plot
true.
twist.
Yeah, you are. So this podcast is called Faith for Dummies, where we share a dummy moment as well as talking about something which Christian teenagers are exploring will find useful. So, Hannah, what is your dummy moment, please?
Sure. I mean, there's many I could pick from, but I'm going to go with the one where I was visiting Izzy and her fiance George recently, and
Mm.
on the way home, I was with Zeke, who is my fiance, and I said, "Oh, we need to get petrol." And I'm driving along. He's not paying attention. He's on his phone, and I drive into a petrol station, use the petrol station, get back in my car, and notice all of the cars are facing the other way, and I have used the petrol station the wrong way round, which it did cross my mind when I went into it. I don't know if this is the entrance, but I honestly still don't know how you tell. So yeah, I felt pretty stupid when I got in my car again.
uh, did
Yeah.
all the cars like beep at you?
No, they probably just thought, what is that girl doing? So
You know, when you told that story, you said, I drove into a petrol station, and I thought immediately went for you crashing your car into the petrol
no,
station.
thankfully I didn't crash it. That would be also pretty stupid.
Cool. So, Hannah, you are here today to talk to us a bit about breakups. And as Christians, we obviously want to handle breakups well and everything. But, well, I'm going to just ask you the questions and let you go into whatever you want to go into. So, can you just tell us a bit more about a breakup that you've had?
Sure. So before I went to uni, I started dating a guy. Let's call him Peter. That's not his real name. And we dated for just over a year. Yeah, he wasn't a Christian, which, looking back on it, personally, I don't think I would date a non-Christian again, but that's where I was at. And yeah, we dated for just over a year. I went off to uni in this time, and after a few months, I kind of realized that maybe I was in this relationship because I had felt a little bit left out growing up. I hadn't had any other boyfriends, and there was, as lovely as he was to me, there was parts of me that just wanted to experience being in a relationship. And going off to uni, when you realize how much bigger the world is than just Biggleswade, I think I realized that we weren't working, and ultimately I didn't want to marry someone who wasn't a Christian, so why was I dating someone who wasn't a Christian? So I decided to end things after just over a year together.
Great. And this might be an obvious question, but why was it hard?
I think it was hard because you share every part of your life with that person when you're dating. You're constantly talking. We were lucky enough to live quite close together, so we'd see each other a lot after school, or he'd come visit a lot at uni. So yeah, it's really hard to suddenly decide to cut this person off. I'll be honest, because I had kind of made peace with the fact that I wanted to break up with him. I don't think it's the hardest situation I've been in with with a boy who I've maybe had feelings for, maybe not even dated. But yeah, obviously there's still parts that were hard, but I'd made peace with the fact that I wanted to break up with him. So, and I knew it wasn't right. But yeah, it was still really hard. And like I said, there's been other instances where there was one guy before that, or who I started talking to when I was 16. And we talked for a couple of years, and I kind of, at the end of it, felt pretty led on. I always kind of thought potentially something might happen, and then suddenly it all ended quite dramatically. And yeah, it's okay to still kind of be heartbroken about someone who you weren't actually dating. And you get so caught up in it. I think the media romanticizes romance so much that it can feel like you've lost everything, which, particularly as a Christian, when you've got Jesus, you shouldn't feel like that. But I mean, I definitely did. I was a teenager, and yeah, it just feels like your whole life is kind of falling apart in a way.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for sharing all that, and about when you're not necessarily dating someone as well, and how that can still feel similar. So how did you talk to God in that time, or how did you talk to God about your feelings?
So I think with Peter, because he wasn't a Christian, it was very easy for me to not talk to God as much, because God wasn't at the center of that relationship. Which, looking back, obviously, I kind of wish he was a bit more. Like, he used to come to church with me and stuff, but that was kind of where it ended. With other situations I've been in, sometimes I've got to the stage where I really, really want Jesus to be my number one, and I can tell people that he is. But am I actually living that out? Am I believing it? Or am I putting this chance of possibly finding my husband or someone that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with? Am I putting this above Jesus? I think I found in some situations where I thought if I pray enough, then I'm doing the right thing by praying and I'm giving it over to God, then God will let me have it, which we know is not how prayer works. But I really, really desperately wanted it. So I would really pray loads and loads and just think I'm doing the right thing. So come on, God, like, give it to me. And as well, like, there's been times where I've not really understood why God would put this guy in my life if it wasn't meant to be. And I couldn't see past that. And now looking back, obviously I'm getting married, so things have got a happy ending. But I can totally see that when I put my trust in God and see the way he's worked through situations, that has totally shaped me and made me the person that I am today. So I'm really thankful, even though situations might have been hard at times and there's been a lot of hurt, both me possibly hurting other people and me getting hurt by others, that God was working through all of that still.
Yeah, brilliant. So what do you think we can do then as Christian, with both Christians dating and then we break up? What can we do perhaps to do that well?
Good question. So I think I've got 3 pieces of advice that I would give. Number 1, I think, and this kind of applies to any relationship and any part of a relationship as well, in that you need to be honest with yourself, with how you're feeling, because it's very easy to kind of tell yourself you're thinking something or feeling something and you're not. With God as well, we know that he knows everything. He already knows what you're going through, but sharing that with him as your father is so amazing that we can do this. So be honest with God as well, and be honest with your boyfriend or girlfriend, and communicate well with them. Like, ultimately, what you're telling them is something really hard if you're breaking up with them, but it's better than staying in a relationship that you know is not right. Yeah, I think communicate well and be honest with them about how you're feeling. Secondly, I think you need to remember that they are a human being, and to respect them and show them the respect that they deserve. Yeah, the situation I was talking about earlier, I actually found out afterwards that maybe things hadn't been as rosy as I thought they were, and I'd painted this picture of the relationship in my head, and I don't think it quite was that. But they are still a human being, and we all make mistakes. So just show
Yeah.
them the respect, and think about how you would feel if you were, say, if you're breaking up with them, think about how you'd feel if you were the one being broken up with in that situation. And another piece of advice, which is kind of a little bit more practical, but one that my housemate at uni told me, and I've done it in other situations as well and found it super helpful, is whether you are breaking up with them or they are breaking up with you, to write yourself a letter. Yeah, that just applies whatever side you're on, because you can write yourself a letter to explain why you've broken up with this person. So when maybe if you're in tears at a later date and feel like you're regretting it, you can look back with and remember just how you felt in that moment and the reasons why you broke up with them. And then you're kind of, yeah, you're remembering it a bit more raw, which it could be hard to go back and read that totally. But yeah, it can just really, in the moments where you're then like, oh, maybe things weren't as bad as I thought, you can remember that. And then as well, if you're being broken up with, if you've got this letter, again, you can look back in the moments where you're like, oh, I wish they hadn't broken up with me. You can look back and remember how they made you feel in that moment. And yeah, obviously you can remember the good parts of the relationship as well. That's absolutely fine. But yeah, I just found it super helpful. I've done that a couple of times. And yeah, it's just really helped me in that situation. I haven't kept the letter forever. Obviously, when I feel like I'm over it, I can throw them in the bin. And yeah, as well, an extra little tip. Just delete them off social media and don't keep any of their stuff. Just get rid of it, because it's a lot easier to move on if they don't keep popping up everywhere.
Yeah, great. Thank you. I think those tips that you gave are really cool. And yeah, Hannah, because we're good friends, we actually hang out a lot and spend a lot of time and with our family and everything. And so I actually know that you, a little while ago, spent some time deliberately being single. And I was just wondering, perhaps if you could tell us a little bit about why that was.
Yeah, absolutely. I really came to a moment in my life where I had come out of something that had been pretty hard on me, and I just really wanted to just focus on Jesus. I thought my faith felt like it was in a good place, and I don't think that particularly wavered, but there was definitely still this voice in my head telling me that you're seeing your friends get married, they're starting to have kids, you're falling behind, like you need to find a husband, you're running out of time. And that obviously isn't the case. We're all on our different time frames. But yeah, I just really wanted to spend that definite like chunk of time not thinking about boys and not worrying about all the potential of, oh, I might meet a boy at church, I might meet a boy here. I can just focus on Jesus when I go to these places. And yeah, I spoke to a few Christian friends about it, Rob being one of them. I think we lived together at the time. And so yeah, just really talked to them about it. And people had different opinions on doing it, and I totally see different points of view. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest, I met Zeke during it. But I really thought about the fact that I had done a good 10 months, and I think I'd put so much pressure on it being a year that I'd kind of forgotten about the thought of, why am I actually doing it and what stage do I want to get to? And I really felt like I'd got to the stage where I'd had a good chunk of time just not thinking about boys, and meeting Zeke happened really naturally. Like, it didn't feel like I had to stress about it at all. Like, it really felt like God was in that. So yeah, my year of singleness was actually 10 months of singleness, but that's okay.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Hannah. Is there anything else that you would like to add for our listeners?
Yeah, I just wanted to repeat the fact about Jesus being our number one. When we find the person that we want to spend the rest of our life with, that doesn't change. And finding someone else who believes that as well is really amazing, because it really helps you to actually live that out. If you feel like you're doing a bit like I was and saying that he is your number one, but actually you don't feel like he is, and in your heart you know that you're just saying that, maybe find a Christian friend or a mentor, someone who you can talk to about it, because it is so much easier to have someone else you can share these things with rather than just stressing about them on your own. So yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Hannah. That was
No
really cool.
worries. Hope that was
I
okay.
know. Yeah, it was great. And I know that you have been keen, should I say, to come on the podcast. So it's great that we can finally make that happen.
Absolutely. I've been very excited for this.
Brilliant. Okay, well, I'm going to hand back to Izzie in the studio. Bye, Hannah.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Hannah, for chatting with Rob and sharing your thoughts and your wisdom on breaking up and relationships, and thinking about relationships as a Christian and how to do that well. Rob, was there anything in particular that you wanted to just kind of bring out of that chat, or maybe just add when you've kind of thought about it afterwards?
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks again, Hannah. It was great. I quite liked the practical piece of advice that she gave about whether you are breaking up with someone or being the person broken up with, to write a letter, because then you can think about all the past sort of things that perhaps weren't going well when you were feeling perhaps a bit more vulnerable, a bit more down and sad about it. And yeah, I just thought that was really basic, really clever, really helpful. And yeah, I thought that would be a really good thing to do if I was in that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the best bit of advice I ever got about a breakup was, it's okay to be sad. Like, just sit in the heartbreak for a bit. I think sometimes we just desperately want to feel okay, or we feel like we shouldn't be sad, or especially if, we felt like it was the right thing, the godly thing, maybe, to break up with somebody, and then we feel sad. And that's okay, because like, relationships ending, in whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship, like, it's painful and it is sad. So we're allowed to feel that, and actually God will sit in that with us as well, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely went through some breakups before getting married, and actually went on a couple of dates with someone about a month or two before I met Adele, and said I was broken up with by, well, we weren't boyfriend girlfriend, but she ended things before they could officially begin. And I remember being really sad about it all, and was like, why am I feeling like this? I've only been on like 2 dates or 3 dates. But yeah, I was sad. Yeah, I was sad about it. And I think what you said there just kind of resonates in it, really. Maybe I didn't leave myself long enough to have those emotions and whatnot. And I guess overall, I'm really grateful that a few months after that, I was able to meet Adele. But just it can be something. I remember being so like bummed out at the time, and just being a big thing on my mind when I was a lot younger. And so that's kind of why we wanted to do it a bit of justice and do an episode on it, really.
Yeah, and I think, like, also being really honest about how you are feeling. I think Hannah touched on desperately really wanting to be in a relationship and praying for it, and it's okay to be honest with God about that. I really remember somebody saying to me, how do you feel about being single in the future? And, here are all these benefits of being single when you're older. Does that make you feel excited and happy? And I said, no, no, it really doesn't. And actually, we prayed about that stuff, and that was something I was praying about a lot. But I was always honest with God and with people around me, and just said, I actually find it really hard going, I've just broken up with somebody, or I'm single and I haven't met somebody for a long time. And actually that's just hard. And that's okay to feel that. We don't, sometimes I think we have this, like, culturally, like, this toxic singleness thing where it's like, either you're in a relationship or you're like, I don't need a man, I don't need a woman, like, I'm fine on my own, I'm independent. And it's okay to say, no, I wouldn't mind actually being in a relationship, and I'm not going to get into the wrong one, but I'm going to be honest and tell you that I'm sad because I'm going through a breakup, or, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. And I think maybe that was definitely not really talked about when I was a teenager, but maybe as youth leaders and other people should maybe be thinking about, how can we specifically talk about being single and serving God, or what being single like actually means, and how it's not like second best, but actually how it is. I think it's Paul who says, like, you should be single if possible. If you need to get married, but be single. And that was never really talked about as a teenager for me. And I always saw being single as second best.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it isn't talked about very much, and especially if people have been in relationships for a long time, they can forget what it's like to be single as well. So that's really important as well, to be having friends that aren't just like you, that are actually maybe in different situations to you, to learn from them. And I guess knowing every breakup is different, and maybe it's your friend that's going through a breakup and that's why you're listening to this, and actually maybe you just need to sit with them and say, what is it you need from me? Like, do you want someone to hang out with every week? Do you want someone to have dinner with sometimes? Do you need to feel encouraged right now? Because sometimes people just need a little encouragement because they've not had a text all day, because they can't text their partner anymore because they've broken up. And actually maybe you could just be someone that says good morning for a week, and that might bring a real encouragement to somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really cool.
Great. Well, thank you, Hannah, so much. Everything you shared was so wise, and we're very, very glad to have finally had you on the podcast.
Yeah.
Rob, what are we talking about next week?
Cool. So next week we are looking at screen time.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to have a conversation about screen time and using that in a godly way, being a Christian, and screen time and all of that good stuff. So we will see you in the same place next week.
See you in the same place next week, maybe.
Bye.
Bye-bye.